Gene, he grew up in Minneapolis, that I know, at least that's where he had an advertising agency. Like before he was ever in wrestling, he was selling advertising for the AWA, which was owned by Vern Gagne at the time. And Gene was such a great salesman, and he loved wrestling. He thought it was amazing what these guys could do in the ring and how they grabbed the emotions of the people that I can't remember this exactly, but I think there was a point where Gagne needed a guy to interview some of the boys. And Gene's like, sure, I'll do it. And that's how he started. But he was so good at it, so fast, that it became his life. And that's what he's known for more than anything, not being a really smart businessman, and having this really big advertising agency in the Midwest. And he just slowly, before you know it, wrestling took over his life. Well, growing up a kid from the Jersey Shore, I was a fan of the WWWF, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. So I was raised on Bruno Sammartino and Larry Zbyszko and Handsome Jimmy Valiant. And then when he did the shift to the WWF, and I got to see Gene Okerlund interview Randy Macho Man Savage, like to me, Savage so many times. I mean, he was so intense and so amazing, and his interviews are like cryptic to a certain degree. But Gene made sense of him, and he followed Randy. I mean, it was magic. It was magic. And Hulk, the same thing. So, for me, watching those guys on the show in the '80s, it made me want to be in wrestling again. I tried it when I was 22, but it didn't work out for me. But watching those guys, I wanted to be a part of it. Like I just knew I belonged there. And then when I went to WCW and I became a wrestler at 35 years old, and I think I was there about 2 years, and then Gene came in. And Hulk came in first, Randy, Gene. I was so pumped that I knew someday I was going to get to be in that interview spot where Randy Savage was. Like, no one else believed it, but I did. And what was really cool is before that ever happened, I was lucky enough to have built a relationship with him. One time, Lee Marshall, we all went with our wives at the time. It was Lee Marshall, who was an announcer, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Gene Okerlund. And we all went to Napa for the week. It was right when my career was starting to take off. And Bobby was always super nice to me, and he really helped me. The Brain was, pivotal. So was Lee Marshall. But Gino and I, man, that friendship would just grow over the years. And I knew if I hadn't seen him in a year or whatever it passed, when we got right back, we'd pick right up where we were. And a lot of times it was at the bar having a drink, after the show. For me, a guy who starts wrestling at 35, my career takes off when I'm 40, which is in 1996. And to have Gene Okerlund, bring me out to the big fanfare, and then setting me up for the interview that's about to come. What's the beauty about Gene, he could take guys who really couldn't talk that well, and still he'd do the interview for them. And you felt like that guy did the interview. With me, it was like, it just brought me back to those days when I would watch him and Savage. And when I first really started getting my really good interviews with Gene, it was in my feud with Randy Macho Man Savage. 1997, it was a feud of the year. And, Gene was such an intricate part of that because he would set up the bada bing, the bada boom, between me and Randy. And there was a lot of magic there. It was so much fun living a dream in front of the cameras in the ring, but a lot of the real dreams came after. What was really cool about Nitro or Thunder, when we were doing those shows on Monday and Thursday, they replayed on the West Coast. So we would get to sit around. We'd get done with our show, shower up, we go to the bar, whatever hotel we're in, and they, now with sports bars, they had cameras. I mean, they had TVs all over the place. So we'd all be sitting there having a drink, talking about, this match or that match, or, oh yeah, I didn't get a chance to see this. I can't wait to watch it. And a lot of times, me and Okerlund would end up together. Like, no matter where I was, I knew at some point I was going to end up at some point shooting it with Okerlund. And because he made you laugh, he enjoyed the show. He enjoyed the after party with the boys. That was a huge part of it. And there's nobody. I mean, I can't imagine what his funeral's gonna be like. I can't imagine everybody coming from everywhere, because this guy, it choked me up big time. Like, the only person that hit me like that was when Dusty passed. And whew, it was tough, when I first heard it. And I just had to take some breaths and then just let go. Because I just had just so many fond memories of him. But I saw TMZ on the thing and I thought, oh man. And I just pick up the phone and I go, hey man. And he's like, hey D, I don't know if you know this yet, but Gene Okerlund passed. Well, I just, just took a few breaths. And I was like, yeah. He goes, would you mind saying a few things about him? Now, just like this here, it's like, I want people to know not just that guy that they saw on TV, who was amazing, but I wanted them to see, know what a really amazing character and good friend he was outside of the TV. The guy that you could hang around, like I say, and sit around and talk about family. I just remember when I was getting ready to do this big Randy Savage angle we were going to do. And man, it was a lot, even though I'd worked so hard to get there, there's still a lot of tension, as far as, the anxiety that can build off of that. And I remember him coming up to me and grabbing a hold of me and pulling aside. And he knew how hard I worked to get there, and he just looked at me, grabbed me, and he goes, you got this. This is what you've been working for, man. He goes, today's your day. He goes, let's have some fun. And he hit me on the, totally. And I knew going out there, no matter what, that he had me. He would lead me in the spot I needed. There was one time I forgot where I was in the interview. You've got so many things going in your head. And back then, we didn't get given a script. We created our own stuff. And I can remember being in the heat of an article. I can remember being in the heat of an interview. And the people went off. And I got so into the people, I forgot where I was. And Gene looked at me and he went, and he started doing my promo for me. And then I remembered where I was and I went, that's right, Okerlund, blah, 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 blah. He would pick you up if you got lost, because he was just such a natural at it, some of my favorite stuff, obviously Savage, Hogan, Flair, Mean Gene. To watch those two, to watch Ric Flair and Mean Gene, man, there isn't an interview that isn't priceless, because the magic, I've been thinking about it all day about, just going to text Rick, and because I love Mean Gene, boy, I love Okerlund, man. But, Flair, Hogan, Savage, those guys at a different level, had even a whole nother relationship with that guy. Those three guys with Mean Gene, that's the kind of stuff that really made me want to do this. Wow. They're having such fun. It was like when first time I'm in the ring with Savage, or first time I'm in the ring with Hulk, or first time in the ring with Rick. it was a really big deal, you know, and no matter where I was in that angle with Hulk or Randy or Rick, there was Gene. There was Gene in the middle of it all, coordinating it. And sometimes just passing the mic, other times putting his 2 cents in, other times, like I said before, picking up if, you know, I only know me, you know, if I dropped it, I forgot where I was. You'd never know because he would cover it beautifully.